Yeah, what it do, YouTube? It's your boy Eli the Rebel. Welcome back to another NCAA 11 Coaching Carousel episode. This is episode number 3. If you haven't seen episode number 2, click the iCard top right corner. It's been brought up to my attention that some of you are unable to click episode 2 for some reason. If that is the case, please leave a comment down below and I can get that sorted out for you guys. But I had no issues on my end. So let me know, guys, that whether y'all can't see the episode or not, and I can get that, I can get that right. I can right that wrong. Now, today, unfortunately, is not going to be a gameplay episode. It's going to be another it's an off-season episode. So we completed season 1 of the coaching career of Mario Crystal Ball, aka Crystal Ball himself, in this game at least. But what you guys are seeing is how I like to allocate the points for the school budget, which will affect the off-season recruiting later on. But before we get to the off-season recruiting, I'd like to showcase just the things that we need to recruit for going into the off-season. I won't show you guys like the whole process, with the exception of one recruit, because I got this recruit through a very, very different method, which I'll show you guys. But it looks like, when I was going through this, it looks like we needed some wide receivers, a center, a halfback, fullback, defensive end, free safety, left outside linebacker is definitely a position to need, kicker, and then the rest were just all backups and things like that. So there were a lot of holes for this USF team. However, before we get into the thing, so one is that USF is a low enough star program to allow transfers and things like that, and we actually got 2, which is probably the first time I've ever gotten 2 in one season, but we did. So we got a defensive tackle here, 76 overall from Mississippi. So by season 3 he'll be able to play, and then because we're using the old transfer rules and things like that, so he cannot play right away here in season 2. He looks like he has pretty good stats. Just a solid defensive tackle for this kind of program. And then the kicker, same thing applies to the kicker. He's only going to play in season 3, but I go over to his attributes and things like that. He is an 84 overall from Illinois. Look at this, 95 kick power, 82 kick accuracy. I will never see 95 kick power again. This game, even if you get a 5-star kicker, they're only they'll start they'll have kick power in the mid 80s and things like that. So that's that was something really, I gotta try that out for season 3 at least. But after week 1 of recruiting, we got 1 defensive tackle. So we'll have somebody, we'll run a 4-3 for season 2 confirmed for sure. Simply because we have a freshman defensive tackle ready to come in and bolster the line. But what I'm gonna show you guys is how we were able to get this kicker, because I picked up a transfer kicker, I was not able to have a kicker in the interested prospects pool. So what I had to do is this is essentially low locking on PS2. When you're on PS3 and Xbox 360 for NCAA 14, low lock percentage can get you some crazy recruits. But in this game, as you can see here, Jeff Hood from Arab, Alabama, has a down arrow from week 1 going into week 2. So that means that Jeff Hood did have interest in us, believe it or not. So all I have to do was scout this prospect. He checked off a lot of boxes. The important thing was kick power was a C. Kick accuracy being an F, that's not the end of the world for me. My issue is just, I can't control kick power, but I can control kick accuracy. So seeing a C in kick power like that can be usable and things like that. Because the way I like to run my offense is, not offense. My special teams is have a designated kicker and a designated punter. But I will not have a designated kicker as of now because the transfer has to sit out first. So what happens now in week 3 is I go over to kicker to see whether Jeff Hood actually becomes an interested player. And would you look at that, he is. Clemson, Toledo, Auburn are ahead of us. However, I do notice the trend that, the 2 stars and 3 stars in this game, want to play, closer to home and things like that. So what I did was I was pretty confident, in, making sure that Jeff Hood probably wanted to go to a school closer to home and things like that. Florida is semi-close to Alabama, so I went and used the location pitch for this 2-star. If you noticed that he is a JUCO junior, so what would happen is, he will, if we do end up getting him, he will play, for season 2, and if we do get him, and then season 3, he'll probably be redshirted. That way, by season, he'll be able to play season 4 if we end up sticking around. And look at that, he ends up signing with us, which was really, really nice. So now I have a dedicated kicker and a punter, as opposed to having a punter, be both my kicker South and Carolina punter.
Wide receiver. Wow, I didn't even.
Other positions that we ended up getting, we ended up getting a wide receiver, Carlos Pittman out of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Tall dude, 6'4", 186. He's gonna be nice. And then week 5 commits. We have Ryan Bridges, a center. Xavier Fowler, a tight end. We also got another wide receiver in Albert Peterson. And then lastly, a 1-star athlete. There was only one athlete, and it happened to be a 1-star. And he ended up when we did position changes and things like that, he ends up being an offensive lineman. Specifically, I believe a guard, if I'm not mistaken. But we ended up getting 9 players in the class all in all. So I think it was 8 or 9. So we had 8 for freshmen alone, and then the 2 transfers, which will be really nice for us season 3. What I was about to say before, my footage cut straight into the recruiting side of it, was that USF didn't do any in-season recruiting. So I was already behind in getting I was already behind. So regardless of how many recruits I get, I wasn't gonna get in the 10s or anything, but I did get 2 transfers and things like that. So that's just that's unfortunate. I wish I was able to see if the coach beforehand did any in-season recruiting and things like that, but I had to work with what I have. But the good news is that I will have in-season recruiting control, because part of the reason why I decided to I took the USF job for Cristobal as opposed to sticking with FIU was because the fact that the Big East is an actual conference and things like that. You get Pittsburgh and Cincinnati and Louisville and West Virginia. So you're getting very, very good programs. A lot better competition, and better competition means you have opportunities to get 4 and 5-star prospects that wouldn't even sniff at coming to your program if I stayed in the Sun Belt with FIU. Star players that you guys might have saw it a little bit. I'm not sure. But we do have a redshirt freshman corner by the name of Justin Whitlock. And, that's going to be, like, our main, like... That's going to be, like, a very, like, important player to keep an eye on for. Now, when you guys see the depth chart, he's not going to be a nickel corner. Actually, all our corners are below 6 feet, which is unfortunate. So I felt that I didn't feel the need to summer train our redshirt freshman because even if I got him up to like an 84 or whatever, I don't feel confident in his frame being a nickel corner and things like that when we have upperclassmen that can get the job done, because the trend is, which makes sense that this trend is in the game, but upperclassmen have better awareness than underclassmen. So the juniors and seniors of this game will have higher awareness than the freshmen and sophomores. So putting Whitlock at the nickel corner I was kind of hesitant on that. As we get into the actual depth chart here, Albert Peterson is actually an 80 overall quarterback, even though we put him at wide receiver, which is kind of crazy. And then I had to double check, but 88 throw power, 80 accuracy, that's pretty nasty. And spoilers, I did redshirt a couple of guys. I'm pretty sure Albert Peterson was one of them. So that's a thing. Look, man, I'm excited to use guys like with this team. As you saw like a little bit before I showed off Albert Peterson, I'm really interested in using Reggie Patterson. The 89 speed for a quarterback in season 2 is going to be a huge upgrade as opposed to the lefty that was a 78. 89 speed on a quarterback is absolutely insane for this game, and I'm going to scramble a lot with this quarterback simply because I know my O-line isn't the greatest right now. If you look at the ratings of the O-line, like I don't have a single person with an 80 or above overall, to be honest with you. As like you look at 2-star linemen on our team that they could start right now in theory, but ultimately ended up rocking with the senior center instead. So there's a lot of holes, and again, it falls back on me not having any in-season recruits coming in, which would help round out this class for real. I didn't get any of that, but you know what? We're gonna make it up in when we get past this depth chart screen and things like that. In terms of defense, I don't like my middle linebackers. Defensive line is okay because we have the defensive tackle coming in from Florida State, but my corners are really, really talented. I really like my corners. Again, we end up putting Whitlock in our quarter package. So he will see the field we will run quarter in certain situations. So we will see Whitlock on the field. I love free safety and strong safety, but like some of them are graduating, so we'll be recruiting those positions heavily as well. I like, again, special teams. We have a separate kicker and a separate punter. I love that. I love using that as much as possible. And then we have our long snapper, happens to be our left guard. So we move on to the season. So now the game is going to officially be in season 2 from this point forward. So right here in this screen, it's just generating a schedule which we'll edit later on. It will cut to that. But again, that's what the team is going to look like. as once that screen is finally loaded, I can get into, assigning jersey numbers and things like that, and go down the list from there. No summer training for season 2. There was only one person that really needed summer training, and that was, Whitlock. But I could have gotten him up to an 84, but I didn't feel that confident in him being a nickel corner right now. Could have also trained up, Peterson and things like that, and other, really good players. Could have gotten him to 90 speed if I wanted to, but it's whatever. Redshirting players, you guys are going to see that later on. Custom schedule, I will show you guys the full custom schedule before we dive into the full preseason recruiting and things like that. And then that will be the end of the video today, when I show you guys the full season recruiting. So here, we redshirt the 2 wide receivers that we got in off season and things like that. The defensive end, I thought about redshirting that defensive end right there, but I ended up not doing it, I think. What did I do? I did redshirt him. Wow, interesting call. Kevin Medlock, I did not redshirt. He's going to be our defensive tackle 2, which is perfectly fine. Graniello is an outside linebacker that I redshirted. And then that was about it. I'm not gonna redshirt Hood until season 3, simply because we will have Spinner be our kicker for season 3. So now I'm just gonna cut to custom schedules. So here is our schedule. Our strength of schedule is a B+. I could have made it an A-, but I felt that would be almost impossible to win games through the sim. I will be simulating some games and things like that. Next episode will be actually a double header, and then at the end of the double header, so after the FIU game, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna combine the UCF and the FIU games in one episode, and then at the end of the episode I'll decide whether, based on our performance in those 2 games, whether we deserve to play the game out against Miami or just sim through it and go to Baylor. But I will say for sure we will be playing Baylor no matter what, because this is the 2011 season is season number 2, and that's also the year RG3 won his Heisman. So I'd love to play RG3 Baylor. If there was any year to play him, it would be this year, obviously. So we have that on the schedule. Week 6 we're home at Cincinnati, and then I think we're home again. And then I think for week 7 is our last, week 7 is UL Monroe, home. We're banking on UL Monroe to once again for any in-season prospects to come visit us. Last time we played UL Monroe at home, we got Manuel Carter and James Smith, a center, so a strong safety and a center. To come to FIU, but we ended up moving jobs anyway, so hopefully maybe instead of 4 stars we would get some 5 stars to come after the UL Monroe game. Those are our 5 non-conference games, and then I can show you guys when it gets time to it, I'll show you guys the rest of the conference schedule apart from Cincinnati and things like that. But now we get into the real fun part. The moment you guys have been waiting for, probably most exciting part in my opinion, the pre-season recruiting. So when I look at this team overview, as you can see right here, we need secondary help. Again, we talked about Whitlock being a redshirt freshman this year, so he's gonna come back to the team, but every other position is looking kind of thin. So what I ended up doing was getting all the 4-star athletes I can get. Again, I'm not sure if I explained this in season 1, but when you target a player, regardless of their status and things like that, because, most, again, with a program like USF, you're not supposed to recruit 4s and 5 stars, but I'm using the game so to my advantage. So when you target a 4 and 5 star prospect, your school is automatically in the top 8 of their board, regardless of, stars of program prestige that you have. So I'm using that to my advantage, and the goal is to try to get the prospect into the top 3 of their board, so that way you can, schedule a visit and then win the game when they visit and then they come to your school. I also dabbled into, getting some 4-star ends and D tackles and things like that. But on the offensive side of the ball, we needed O-line help badly. Badly need O-line help. So I just targeted as many 4-star offensive linemen as I could for this, and what I ended up finding was there was just a surplus of tackles instead. There were 3 centers. I only targeted 2 of them. I targeted 1 guard. Then here again, I targeted 1 tackle here, so I could have room. I could have room for skill positions and things like that. So this game wanted me to have 2 guards, but you know what? If we end up getting 2 and 3 star, O linemen, it is what it is. So here I targeted a fullback and a tight end. And then the final 2 spots, I ended up giving them to a halfback here. So I targeted Greg Francis from Vernon, Texas here. And then remember this name for when we get to the final screen for the day. Blake Marquad. So that's going to be a 5-star quarterback and a scrambler out of Virginia. And you look at the interest level on this cat, man. We are from Woodbridge, Virginia. Yep. He is number 1 on our board by a lot. Obviously, Virginia Tech, West Virginia are right behind and things like that. But we're number 1 on his board by a lot. So hopefully, we have an okay season. We land a 5-star quarterback, and hopefully, there are player promises in this game. As you saw, in season 1 recruiting. Manuel Carter, asked to have a jersey number. He got it. James Smith asked to be a starter. I gave them that promise. But in this scenario, because we have Peterson for another year as well, as he's only a junior right now for season 2, what I would like to do is try to get Marquad, to redshirt. So that way, once Peterson graduates, Marquad's going to be, a redshirt freshman starting QB and things like that. So he's going to operate, he's going to literally operate like Jameis freaking Winston, in the sense that he's not going to play until the 2013 season. Whereas Jameis Winston was a 2012 recruit, redshirted 2013, started in 2014, and the rest is history. But that's what we're probably gonna do for Marquad if he decides to commit, and we're gonna try to push for him as much as possible. All these other prospects, they're gonna, they have some interest here and there and things like that. But seeing a 5-star QB, like our school a lot, way more than Virginia Tech and West Virginia, that really surprised me the most when I was looking at this board. So, other prospects that we targeted. Greg Francis, the 5-star halfback from Texas. We talked about Blake Marquard a lot, so there's nothing really else that's needed to be said. 4.49 as a quarterback is dangerous. My goodness. We targeted AJ Cox, Arlington, Virginia. See, this is what I was expecting from Marquad, whereas Virginia Tech and West Virginia are his top two. Will Watkins, we also targeted him as well. So that's all. We targeted all our 5 stars. Blake Bass from Merritt, Florida. We put 10 points into him as well. Dan Mitchell, we did not put points in, but Chris Watson, we did put points in because we're in his top 3 along with Ohio State and Pittsburgh. We'll see how that fluctuates and things like that. Andy Smith from Arkansas, we targeted him. Put 10 points into that left end. Didn't really put points in for a while until we get to Joe Wynn from Ohio. Again, he wants Ohio State really badly, but he doesn't have a second or third school yet. Terence Sanders, a 3-star fullback from Texas. He's looking at 4 different schools. We happen to be one of them, so we put 10 points into him. And then Ralph Leach is a 3-star tight end from Ohio. West Virginia, Notre Dame, we're trying to squeak in to be school number 3. So that's our board. And that's pretty much going to be the end of the episode. So again, the next episode will be UCF and FIU in one major episode. We'll be showing highlights of both as opposed to just one full game. I may or may not sim the Miami game. You'll see what I do with that at the end of the next episode. But for now, we're just gonna. I'll see you guys when we play UCF and FIU. But until then, please get excited for the next chapter in Cristobal's coaching tenure here on NCAA 11. So once again, it's been your boy Eli the Rebel. I'll catch you guys next episode. Deuces.